Jesus.
Jesus.
I was just trying to do that Beyonce song.
Jesus.
Walk
Oh, we
on
need our beers.
water. I was going to get them when you were checking the sound.
We're checking the sound.
I know when you were checking that it worked.
We are checking that it works.
Like once you press stop on the recording and then you press play.
Oh, when we review it.
Yeah.
That's a different step.
That's the step I'm going to get the beers at.
At the turn of the century, they were making some movies, but we kind of forgot all their names.
So we started a podcast and we know you did not ask. Too bad for you. My early 2000s.
Hello and welcome back to My Early 2000s. I'm your host, Will.
And I'm your other host, Daniel.
This show almost didn't happen. I'm here super late. New videos, new everything. It doesn't matter. But we're here.
Here we are, getting this shit done.
Did anything try to stop you this week, Daniel?
Anxiety,
Oh,
stress, loneliness.
just like your normal friends.
Just
yeah.
just like every show.
Are we drinking?
We have something to kind of quell that anxiety. We are drinking a Hangar 24 Oktoberfest Fall Lager.
So it's another Oktoberfest. What's different about this one?
I will have to taste to find out.
Well, you know, at the same time, it's the last time we're going to get a beer like this for the
Yeah.
year, so that's fine. Redlands, California. Here we go.
Here we go, Redlands. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it a little pumpkin-y, too?
Fall spices.
It's definitely like a lighter beer. There's not a lot going on. It's a really good taste, but it's very mild.
It's mild. It does hit you on the back end a little bit.
Does it?
That little back, it almost feels like a little
Nah, I didn't get it yet.
paw
More,
coming out.
maybe
going,
more. Maybe more beer.
It's a little more intense to me than the Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
You're more intense to me.
That's a compliment.
Let's get into this movie.
Yeah, what are we doing?
So this week we watched Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which if you don't know, that's the fourth movie in the series, or book, if you're a book person or not.
It was the fourth book.
Well, you're a book person. You're a book man.
I'm a book man. Not really. I did read all the Harry Potters, if that makes me a book person.
So you're probably going to be a lot more important to have for this episode than me. I'm just a fan of the movies.
You're a movie fan. I was definitely a big book fan before.
I read the first one when I was like a kid, and then I loved this one. We'll get into it, but I loved this one so much that I tried to go back, and I did read the fourth one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I was also so fucking confused because I hadn't read the second and the third, and there's so much stuff that happens in the fourth book that is not in the film.
We're going to speak to the film as much as we possibly can. You know, we'll throw a little bit in, you know, from the literary background of it all.
The fact that they were pumping out these movies every other year back in 1999, they started this, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, it really is. And 8 films, you know.
8 films total,
I think all grossing over $1 billion worldwide. I'm not sure on that number, but it's a big number regardless. You know, it was a big hit for Warner Brothers.
Well, that's how they can afford the Justice League.
And that's how they can afford their big flops. Thanks, Harry Potter. And now we're getting some more ones with these Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Is,
did you see Fantastic Beasts?
I did. I loved it. It's not Harry Potter.
No.
But it was
not
good, and it was nice to be in that world.
Are you able to read the book that she's referencing, that textbook at all? Okay.
I mean,
so I didn't know if that was something you guys could read or anyone could read.
I mean, you can read it. I have it, I think.
Oh, okay.
But it's just like a little... it's just like almost like she just describes the beasts, and then it's almost like a textbook of animals, but fake animals.
Right.
So you don't like hear... The guy who's the lead in the movie... Newt Scamander is like the one who wrote that textbook.
But there's no book of his adventures.
No, there's no story. They've created this story completely for the movies.
I don't really remember the plot of that movie. Like, I know that there's just like a bad guy, and it turns out to be Johnny Depp. Spoilers. But let's talk about this film, because we actually know if we like this film or not. How did you feel about this film?
I love this movie. I've always loved this movie. This was my favorite book. And at the time, you know...
Favorite book of all time, or
no,
just
no,
of the series?
Of the series.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my favorite book of the series.
Damn, girl.
And no, it was not my favorite book of all time, but I did love that book as a kid, and I loved this movie. It's a fun story to me. I like the competitive element to it. That makes like for this really fun environment in this magical world where they don't really need competition in a lot of ways, to see how they can kind of use magic to enforce greater competition. It just always has been so fun to me.
It is kind of weird how they're like,
and there is a lot of well, why can't they just do this?
Yeah.
Oh, because of this magical rule that exists. Like, she really has thought of everything. But anyway, so how did you feel about it?
I like this film so much just because this is the film that finally, at the time, cemented me into the series. I may have already said that, I'm not sure, but it reminds me of high school. It reminds me of my friends. Like, I have a very vivid memory of seeing this film with all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such a great fucking day. And maybe that plays into it.
Yeah.
But every time I watch this movie, I'm reminded of that day and those people.
I know what you mean, because I was there that day.
Oh, that's right. I guess it's not that vivid.
I saw it with you back in 2005.
But the competitive element is totally what makes this film stand out. And I loved it because it was darker than the other films. And, I was like 15, 16 at the time, so I really was drawn to stuff like that. I liked movie monsters and all that. And the first two films are good, but they're kids' movies.
Yes.
The third film is great, but I didn't watch it until after I had seen the fourth. So this is what made me go back and finally understand the series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so you skipped 3.
I just didn't see it because I didn't care for the first. I just didn't get it.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I don't know why. I get it now, but I didn't get it at the time when it was just Christopher Columbus's films.
So, just to kind of clear everything up for those who don't know, Christopher Columbus is the person who directed films 1 and 2 in the series.
Yes.
The third film was directed by Alfonso Cuarón.
I got nothing wrong with Christopher Columbus.
You can have something wrong.
I got something wrong. Nah.
You can. I mean,
I just didn't like
I have
his
one
Harry
word
Potters.
for you.
Yeah?
Rent. That was rough.
That was rough, man.
But we're not talking about Christopher Columbus. We're only talking about Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire,
Yeah.
which is directed by a man named Mike Newell.
It's really interesting that Warner Brothers doesn't give him the rest of the series. I'm not really sure why David Yates gets it. With how good Goblet of Fire is and how successful it was.
It could have been his thing. It could have been his.
You're right.
I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of work. I did see some rating things that rated like favorite directors to least favorite directors, and he was in the bottom.
Oh.
But who said that? I don't know.
You know, but I do remember at the time a lot of choices and changes in this movie maybe were the first of the big cuts of scenes and stories. Whole characters were cut out. Like I know Dobby was supposed to be in this film, and he's
they had
not.
to cut that. I read that they filmed that. They couldn't. It was either for timing or budget purposes.
I just know that this one had like the biggest backlash
Yeah.
at first to fans of the books and then of the films. And maybe that has something to do with it, and that they just made too many changes.
Well, let's talk about that for just a second, because as someone who is a fan of the book, that book was huge. You got
It's massive,
it's
dude.
massive. It's like over 700 pages. Where
It's probably the longest book I personally have ever read.
probably it is a long book. I think it's the second longest in the series. The first 2 books were running somewhere in the 300-ish range, and I think the third book was maybe in the 400s.
And then you get to this book, and the rest of them are fucking novels.
It was humongous. It was, I mean, like just holding that book. I can remember feeling that book in my hand. It was so big. But that being said, there was just a ton of stuff going on. It was, the characters, the storylines, the danger, all of this stuff was happening, and they had to introduce not only just Hogwarts but 2 other schools. And with 2 other groups of people.
And fucking spoilers, by the end, Voldemort shows up. We've been hearing about this dude for 3 movies now,
Right.
and they have to introduce that. The whole third act is based on that.
Yeah, he does. And
Yeah, they shove a lot into this
it
picture.
is a lot. And I mean, the book is jam-packed. And so obviously when you transcribe it to a film, I mean, we can't sit in the movies for 6 hours. We're just not going to do it. And that being said, apparently Warner Brothers did want to make this into 2 separate films. When they commissioned this movie,
Yeah.
they wanted to divvy it up into 2 films, both of which Mike Newell would have directed, and they would have come out like 6 months apart from what I read.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
Like in the middle of the tournament.
probably, yeah. Probably they would have gone further into certain things, like in the book, Rita Skeeter, the reporter, is much larger, just like she feels like she's always
But
there.
as someone that doesn't know the book as well, because I've only read it once, that character is perfect. There are things that you can do and time that you can take in novels and books because you can just sort of like fiddle around the room. You can look around the room and see everything that's happening. And in a film, you have to absorb all of that information in a second. You don't have that time.
No, you don't. And as a fan of the book, would I have loved for this book to be in 2 movies? Probably, yeah. But
All right.
I would have.
Well, then you
But
would have gotten
if-
to see more characters, more time.
More-
I
yeah.
get it, because you're a
But
fan and you just want to watch it.
If they had done that, we'd still be waiting for the end. Like, they'd be 30 and still dressing up as 18. Like, they would have done 2 movies for every movie. I mean, Warner Brothers would be even richer.
You're right, yeah.
But, like,
It's
just
kind of
would have
great that
taken
at least
way
we waited
longer.
till the end
Yeah.
to do all that.
Right, exactly.
And now movies do that shit all the time.
Well, and even, like, you know, I feel like Harry Potter, the 7th book, really kind of set that tone for, you know, to divvy up a big story into 2 movies. When that book finally came out, that, you know, it wasn't like one of these massive hits where we're like, what's going to happen? And then it's a huge letdown when it happens. Everyone was just thrilled. The story closed in such a way, except for that little epilogue in the books. No, I'm getting way too booky, but no one liked that, but everyone loved the actual story.
Yeah.
It was great that book was divvied into 2 movies. But this one, it just needs to be condensed. It was perfect as is. In the way
I
they
love
ended
it
up
the way
doing
it is.
Yeah.
Let's do the synopsis, man.
Yeah. Just a little synopsis.
Just in case you haven't seen it before. I don't know why you're listening to this, but thank
But
you.
thank you. Yeah. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire came out in 2005.
Goblet of Fire.
12 years ago. It was
12 years ago?
Yeah, it was like this
I
week.
remember this day 12 years ago?
Yeah, it was like 12 years
Fuck,
ago
man.
this week.
Fuck that. Really?
Yeah, it was like right around Thanksgiving. Anyway, it's directed by Mike Newell, who directed 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Mona Lisa's Smile, Love in the Time of Cholera.
He's mostly like a rom-com guy. It's very strange that he gets this film.
Screenplays by Steve Kloves, obviously based on the book by J.K. Rowling. The stars are the typical ones for the Harry Potter franchise, but, you know, just to kind of get them off, Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson,
All great.
Alan Rickman, the late great man.
Oh, God.
Plays Dumbledore. I can't remember his name.
I remember in the theater, though, because we're not super used to this new Dumbledore yet at the time. I remember when Harry first gets into the Goblet of Fire, like he first gets entered into the tournament just like by magical things. We don't know how it happened. But Dumbledore comes running down the stairs and he pushes Harry up against the wall and he's like, "Did you put your fucking name in the Goblet of Fire?"
Right.
And I just remember everyone around me that was fans of the book like, "That's not my Dumbledore." Oh my God, what is this? And I was just so confused because I'm like, whatever, he's just mad.
Well, you know, I think the thing is that when we saw those first 2 movies with Richard Harris, the wonderful
and he is great.
actor.
He's this wonderful, kind Dumbledore.
And the thing is that he was so fragile. He was so old at
Like,
the
could
time.
you imagine that dude doing the fight scenes later on,
the
a few
end,
films
He
in?
wouldn't have. I mean, he wouldn't. He did die not that long after those first 2 films.
Yeah,
so
and that's sad.
That is sad. And he was a wonderful actor. And he was great in the first 2 movies.
And I don't mean like him, the actor, doing the fight scenes. I mean him, the character.
It
would have been
yeah.
really strange to see that Dumbledore fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And this Dumbledore, I could see fighting
got
for the
some
people he
spunk
cares
left in
about.
him,
So I
yeah.
kind of liked that new life brought to the character.
I do too. I think it ends up working out well throughout the franchise.
Yes. It gets better and better.
Yes.
And I think he learns actually how to dial it back a little bit too. And by the time you have that last adventure with him and Harry, he's kind of that frail old man again.
Yes.
Really vulnerable.
Yeah.
Really sweet.
So yeah, this movie in the book is kind of when things get darker. And if you got this far, you know what the fuck everyone knows what Harry Potter is.
So by this point, Harry's been to school a few years.
Yes.
He's gotten to kind of know the ways of magic. He's made a few friends, made a few allies in the faculty.
And he comes in, and this year's a special year because they're doing this thing called the Triwizard Tournament, where they bring 2 other schools from different areas in the world that are also magic schools.
Which look like boy and girl schools, but I've
They
heard in the
are.
books they're not.
This year at school, we find out there's going to be this really special event called the Triwizard Tournament that happens like every century or so, but where the 2 other magic schools in the world come together.
Are these the only magic schools in the world? Or just the only ones that all come together to compete?
I liked the books, but I'm not a huge Potter nerd.
Okay.
One student from each school is picked, and they do a big tournament to determine the winner. It's very dangerous, and because of the high level of security at the campus, only people who are 17 can enter. and somehow Harry Potter's name gets entered even though he's 14.
You say that like you just said that so nonchalant. Like, yeah, it's just like really hard, really dangerous thing, and you can't enter unless you're 17 because you could fucking die. But Harry Potter gets entered and he doesn't know how, and you're just fine with it. Harry could die, Daniel.
It was only book 4. How was he going to die? We knew there were going to be 7 books.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's bullshit.
We knew there were going to be 7.
God, so you just knew the whole time everything was going to work out.
We knew he wasn't going to die.
Damn
I mean,
it.
well, I thought he might die at the end. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't think he was going to die in book 4, though.
Yeah.
So
They all come together.
You know, yeah.
They all compete. Harry's confused about how his name got into the Goblet of Fire because he can't even physically put his own name in because he can't cross the threshold because it's got an age line.
There's a magic age line.
There's so many magic things. So regardless of the rules, because his name has been entered, they determine that he has to compete because those are the rules. If your name comes out of the Goblet of Fire, then I guess you got to do it, right?
You listen to goblets in this kind of world.
This is a terrible school. He's 14.
I know. You know that was the thing that kept
Like, do they not get sued if fucking kids die?
I literally never thought about this when I had watched or read the books before, but this entire time I was watching the movie yesterday, I was like, how do they let these kids do this? Like, how are they okay with?
And the parents are just like, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great honor. What?
Like, how the fuck can you get? Like, you have to get a signed paper to go drink butterbeer in the city 2 miles away,
right?
But to like fight a dragon's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Let's just.
I don't know. If you walk 5 feet in the snow, you may die.
Right. And then they give them these like they either give them these little clues that are nearly impossible to figure out. You know, on what's the next challenge? Here's an egg that screams at you, but take a bath.
Cedric Diggory really helped him out, didn't he?
He's 14 years old, thanks to Sid. That is Robert Pattinson. That's where he...
that's his breakout role,
that's
man.
where he got started, I believe.
It's weird. It's weird to see him in this film. And he's so young, too.
He is really young.
I mean, everyone's young. Like, we've grown up with so many of these actors now, but he's especially young.
I have a vendetta against him.
Yeah, you don't like him too much.
I don't like him that much.
Why?
And I didn't do my research to see if he was actually a good person in real life. So, I don't know.
He's all right. He does an okay job in this film. It's kind of confusing why he becomes a star.
I saw the movie obviously with you on the day it came out, and then I saw it probably the next week with my family. I remember waiting outside the movie because we had to line up to see the movie still because it was still so packed. And I remember people coming out of the previous showing just being like, "Oh my God, Cedric Diggory was so hot," you know. And like as a 16-year-old boy, you're just like, "Well, fuck that guy. That guy sucks."
So you automatically had a vendetta against him because everyone you had a crush on him, probably.
Probably, yeah. I don't remember that, but probably, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he does fine in that movie, actually.
How do you like everyone else in the film?
I like everyone. I think that this is the movie where the kids are starting to get a little more comfortable.
Oh, for sure. Especially Daniel Radcliffe. And Rupert Grint is really starting to lay into his comedy chops. Dude, by now I feel like he's a full-fledged actor and he understands how to work the screen. Yep. He's brilliant by this point.
As far as Emma Watson goes, I feel like she gets better later, and I feel like she's actually a little better earlier. This film, for me, with her, doesn't register as well. She's got a lot of eyebrow movement, and it always tears me out of it. I remember the first time I saw this movie, I don't know if you remember this, but a bunch of us were laughing about it after. The line is, "Everything's going to be different now, isn't it, Harry? Here's the deal. Here's how it happens." Hermione goes, like, so dramatically, "Everything's going to be different, isn't it now?" You know, like, and then Harry, like, takes 3 steps and, like, walks up to her and looks at her, and then he pauses. "Yes." And then she, like, looks away, like, "Oh man, this life."
No, he
so
doesn't
hard.
say it like that.
Yes,
he's like, "Yeah."
No,
he says
doesn't.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, well, he still takes the pause. He still goes up. Like, it's this whole gigantic moment, and then she has this moment of like, "Okay, I can do that. I can handle that."
Doesn't it feel like a scene they didn't shoot and then all of a sudden did?
Maybe, but I also think it's
or that they had other, like, when I watch it, because I agree that is a very strange delivery and the way it plays out, it's very nitpicky. This is so nitpicky just because it's such a small moment.
16 years old, I laughed at this moment.
Yes. It feels like there's other coverage that they're not using, and it's edited super strange.
It's edited, but
because the rest of the film, like all of these films, I never have those moments. There's never weird cuts.
Nope.
There's never bad direction.
Nope.
It's just like a different choice.
Yeah.
And this wasn't a choice. It feels like a little bit of a hiccup.
Whatever it is, because I was really thinking about it yesterday, because I have laughed at that moment for 12 years every time I've watched the movie. And yesterday I was thinking about it, and I was like, why is that moment so bad?
Interesting.
You know,
Yeah,
why is that? Because and then I just started thinking, what are the lines, right? What do I see if I look at the script? And the script says, probably, I'm not reading it, but Hermione, everything's going to be different, isn't it now? Harry, yes. The two walk away. That's probably what it says. Maybe it says Harry crosses to Hermione. Maybe. So I feel like
But it's like 3 minutes of screen time.
Someone's interpretation was big, long pause, super dramatic moment, and then Hermione's change in acceptance of what we're going to do, what's going to happen now. I'm okay with this. I'm scared, but I'm okay with this. That I think is
She's
too
okay
much.
with it because Harry's okay with it, though.
Yeah, and she has this moment like it's literally happens in 3 seconds. She looks away and then she smiles. You know, and it's like, and I'm not blaming her at all. It's not her fault. This was the
No, it
direction.
feels like a studio thing, man.
It was someone's
Right?
decision.
Yeah.
And it was a bad one because that whole scene, I think it should have been in there because it's a great thing to say. Everything's going to be different, isn't it now? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, fucking
Someone's
Voldemort's here.
dead.
Yeah.
You know, like this is just not the fun freaking movie we've been watching for the past 3 years.
Quidditch isn't the same after people can die.
No, it's like there are real consequences to this, and children die. It's not just adults. It's not just evil. It's like dangerous, and it's dangerous for them, and it's dangerous for Harry, but it's way more dangerous for Hermione and Ron because they don't have the scar. They don't have the connection to Voldemort that he has. So he's kind of, for whatever reason, because of his mother's love, because of they share the wand
And
feather.
he's been groomed by it his whole life. He's been prepared for that interaction. And Ron and Hermione read it like it was a scary book at bedtime.
Yes.
It's not something they thought was ever going to happen to them.
Yes.
And even when they became friends with Harry Potter, they really didn't think it would ever turn into what it does.
Right.
And when it does, it's scary.
And so that moment, I think, should be in there where he says, you know, where she says everything's going to be different now, and he should say yes.
They just biff it.
They just make it too big. It's like, it's stupid to me. Sorry. Anyway, let's talk about some of the good stuff that I really did like in this movie.
Sure.
I loved the opening scene. How did you feel about that opening scene?
I love it because it's the first time that we're not given this, like, ooh, Harry Potter. You actually are thrown with characters that you've never seen before in a very dark room, and it just leaves you with so many questions, and that's a fucking way to open a movie.
I completely agree with you, but even before that first moment, these movies open with magic so constantly. You know, the flying car in the second book, the first one where Dumbledore puts his like that lighter thing up to the streetlights and sucks them all in. Magic. I don't remember how the third one.
Yeah, it's always supposed to immerse you into this world that things are different here.
Yeah. Yes.
And you're almost put into reality.
The guy lights the stove without a wand.
Yeah, we're watching a muggle.
Yeah, but you don't know that. And he turns on the stove and he lights the stove like a normal person. And then immediately it makes us go like, what are we watching?
Yeah.
You know, like, this isn't Harry Potter. This isn't magic. That's just how we light
But then he
stoves.
steps outside of his door.
Yes.
And it's like something out of a gothic 1940s German film. We're still in the magic world,
We are,
sure.
for sure. But that first moment in that character, it gives so much away. It shows us, it tells us we're in for something different. We're not in for what we've been in for before. And I loved that. And then just in general, this is the movie, I know we've said it a few times, but this is the movie where things change. This is the movie where it gets darker. It touches on these terrorism aspects, things that we haven't seen.
There is a big influence of that in the early 2000s. There's a lot of 9/11.
And when they have to leave the World Cup, the Quidditch World Cup, that's a big moment when Mr. Weasley goes.
It's not he stops everyone. It's not the Irish. They're not partying.
Yep.
This is not fireworks.
This is bad.
This is bad.
We need to get out of here.
And that's something that our generation knows better than most. As a kid, you were just thrown into that.
And this movie really goes there, and really, even though you still get the lightness of it and the color of it and everything,
It's painting a very real world picture for the first time.
yeah, that was something that really hit me when I was watching it, is that moment when they walk out of the tent was very real. And I actually think it's more real today than it was in 2005. Anyway, so let's get into our questions that we asked. What was your favorite line or moment?
I don't know if I have a favorite line. My favorite my favorite moment is definitely when Ron starts to get jealous of Harry. I love the dynamic that creates between them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a single scene of that, but I love, because we've seen these best friends they get through anything by sheer dumb luck all the time. And this is the first time I think we really see one of the friends go, is this worth it? Do you deserve any of this?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really interesting, and it's so fucking high school.
Yeah.
Like this stupid reason to hate your very best friend that would take a bullet for you, and you're just like, nah, you're being a little shitty right now, so I'm going to be shitty back.
Right, yeah.
I love that. I don't know why. I just do. And it creates just wonderful tension between the characters. And then when he finally realizes how dumb all that shit is, it's so relieving to have that friendship back, to have that support system for him at the end of the Triwizard Tournament when it's so fucking hard. I love Ron so much.
Yeah, me too.
He's one of the fucking best just screen characters ever.
He really is. Those teenage relationships.
Yeah.
You know, and especially in this movie, and you're getting a little bit of jealousy of Ron.
I don't know. I really
Hermione
loved the jealousy because at the time it was so... I never anticipated Ron to be jealous of Harry.
Mm-hmm.
But of course he is.
Yeah.
Big, wonderful thing that survived death, and now he also gets to be the biggest wizard of all time again and again and again. And Ron's just like, when is it? Can I have like one thing?
Right.
Can I play the Quidditch game?
Right.
Can I have a girlfriend? One thing.
One thing, yeah.
Come on, Harry. I don't know. I love it. What about you?
My favorite moment of the movie is when they first walk into the tent, that little tent at the Quidditch World Cup.
Yeah.
And he walks in and it's actually like this huge mansion tent. And Harry, it's just Harry looking around and he's like in awe. And then he just says, I love magic.
Yeah.
And it's just such a great moment. It kind of makes me tingle every time I think about it, to be honest. And it's exactly what we're all kind of thinking, I think. Like that's why we love these books. That's why we love these stories, and is because we dream of that. Like that would be awesome to live in that world. And
she almost brings to life things that you imagine as a kid. You know, like how many times have you been on a camping trip just been like, if this tent was a little bit bigger on the inside?
Right.
Or you think about Mary Poppins and how she fits so much shit into her bag. Like there's all these things that are constantly going through your brain as a child, and she was able to capture all of that.
I also had a line that I really loved. I know it was a different thing, but Mad Eye Moody, when he's first introducing himself to the class.
We didn't even talk about Mad Eye Moody, and he's so fucking good.
He's so good in this movie.
It's not even him.
I know.
That's the big twist.
The fake Mad Eye Moody.
Nah, but it's him.
Yeah. Still the same actor.
Yeah.
But he's introducing himself to the class, and he's like explaining himself or whatever, and he ends up saying, "End of story, goodbye, the end."
Yeah.
Any questions? I laughed out loud.
Oh, this is the first time we're seeing Avada Kedavra and like all those
The
terrible
Cruciatus curse,
Yeah, we're
Imperius
seeing
curse.
all the
Yeah.
terrible curses.
Yep. That's
God.
That's a big deal. Magic can be used for danger. We knew it kind of.
We didn't have to face it yet.
Exactly.
We just heard rumors.
So, and especially when he says, the only person to ever survive this curse is sitting in this room.
God, that's such a fucking great moment.
Yeah.
I remember the way the score hits when he hits that line and looks Harry right in the eyes, and it's just like you get chills.
How did you feel about the score? That leads right into it. Actually.
The score is great.
Yeah.
The score is really, really good. This is a point when John Williams has departed from the series. They're still kind of using his score,
right,
but the melody is slightly different. He does a great job. I don't know if he's done the third one as well. He does a great job of capturing everything that we already know of the series, but he adds to it. I know that there's a lot of great musical cues in this film that add to the comedy, that add to the differences of the schools, that add to the likenesses of the events. The score is so present in all of the flavors and colors of the film. Like you were saying this earlier, actually, that it's such a bright film. It's so bright. There's so many colors in it. These films kind of get like green and desaturated and really, really flat at a certain point. But this film is so bright, and you can actually hear that in the score.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he does a really great job of. His name's Patrick Doyle, by the way. And he doesn't make you feel like it's not John Williams. You don't feel like this movie's drastically
It could have been a cover song.
musically,
you know?
Yeah. The score is beautiful, and it's big, epic when it needs to be, and it's fun when it needs to be, and it kind of hits all the right moments. Okay, big question. And the Oscar goes to...
I think I'm going to give it to Brendan Gleeson. He's usually really great in everything that he does. There is something to be said for big, huge actors they chew up the scenery. When they enter a big franchise series, they usually take me out of it. I usually know I'm watching an actor all of a sudden in this world that I've fallen in love with. And that's what's weird about the Johnny Depp thing, I think. Because of his eye, because of how intrusive this character is to the actor, he blends in so well and heightens the film for me. He's
absolutely.
so good. He's having to worry about this prosthetic on his face. Like, what he's doing with his face and his mouth is so interesting. He has to have that undertone of David Tennant's other character every once in a while and stick his tongue out, do that weird tongue thing every once in a while. He's fucking great.
Yeah.
He'll make you laugh and he'll make you scared within 5 seconds. And that's why he gets a piece of paper.
There you go. Your piece of paper Oscars coming to you.
We could email him and it'd be faster.
Yeah, we should email.
Let's just start emailing these people.
BrendanGleeson@gmail.com.
Send us your email.
We'll just try them all. We'll try them all. We'll find it.
What about you, man?
Actually, I think for me, the Oscar should go to Ralph Fiennes, to Voldemort.
Voldy, huh?
Yeah. We haven't really talked about him.
That ending is a big reason why this film works so well.
Absolutely.
I don't know how much we want to say about it just because it is so fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to really go into it, but that performance, I don't even think about him as an actor in this movie. I like kind of almost forgot to even say.
Did you know him at that time?
No.
Yeah.
No, I did not.
So that's probably a big part of it.
It's a big part. But this character of Voldemort is terrifying. It terrified me as a kid. I remember in the second book when they revealed Lord Voldemort, Tom Marvolo Riddle, when they rearranged the letters to be "I am Lord Voldemort." I had to close the book. I was terrified.
Fuck.
I was terrified.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It gave me chills. That moment still gives me chills. So that character terrifies me still.
And this third act honestly gave me chills. I was, 15, 16 when this movie came out?
Yeah.
Thinking that this was just another one of those silly kids movies that I had been watching.
Yeah.
And this scene fucking happens.
It's insane. And one of the things I thought about while I was watching it this time was I was trying to get into his mindset, into the actor's mindset, to go like, he has to represent evil in its purest, truest form. Nothing good.
It's very Shakespearean,
Yeah.
too, the way he portrays it.
Yes. There's nothing good in this character. There's no ounce of goodness. There's no remorse. There's no empathy. There's nothing.
Just sure of everything.
Yes. And he kills it.
Yeah. And Cedric.
And he kills Cedric. We'll send you an Oscar, Rafe. Although
I feel like,
he probably has one.
yeah,
Well, now you have one on paper.
maybe we
bitch.
should send him the Triwizard Cup. He's the real winner.
Kind of is. He rigged that whole thing. If the Triwizard Tournament were the 2016 election, you're Russia, Voldemort.
Oh, fuck.
Which character would survive longest in the zombie apocalypse?
Moaning Myrtle, because she's already dead.
She's pretty much a zombie already.
No, she can form a sentence.
That's true.
She's kind of a creep, though, in this movie.
She's
But I think
creepy.
she's going to survive
Yeah.
because she tricks and fucks with everybody. What about you?
Mr. Weasley. I just think he's got it.
Interesting.
I don't know. I just feel like he raised like 17 kids. He knows how to.
Like 6.
He knows how to manhandle. I don't know. I just think he'd get it. He would take charge.
He'd get it?
I feel like
Can you speak to more than he'd get
I
it?
feel like he's the type of person who, when the rules of the world are gone, he's gonna shine.
I don't know. I
He's
feel like
waiting for that.
That's Mrs. Weasley, man. That's Miss Weasley.
She wasn't in this movie. I
But-
think you're probably right.
That's weird. She's not in it. Why doesn't she get to go to fucking Quidditch?
Maybe she doesn't like it. Ginny's
That's
not
fair.
there.
It kind of looks boring.
Doesn't look that boring.
Well, when we watch it, we get to see it from all the cool angles. Now
That's true.
imagine you're at the top of the stadium at the
Yeah.
beginning of this film,
Can't even see where the balls
and it's just
are.
sort of like, is that a broom?
Right.
Which one's the Irish?
I like how Victor Crumb is like the greatest Quidditch player in the world, and he's in high school.
He's a strange-looking man.
Mm-hmm.
Victor Crumb, I don't know. Victor Crumb's a strange-looking man.
Yep.
What's your favorite My Early 2000s moment?
It's tough because
I don't think so.
really? I mean, I guess what's not what I mean, these kids technically are in school in like the late 90s or early 2000s. I don't know. I don't really have one.
The biggest giveaway here is the hair. Look at the hair on the actors in this film. There was this weird craze around this time. Everyone's got little emo baby hair. A lot of boys straightening their bangs and throwing it in front of their face. And all of a sudden, Harry shows up with a mop on his head. He's had this tiny little bowl cut, this little boy, and I feel like he grows a few inches in this movie just because of the hair.
Yeah.
Ron's hair is super big. They take a step back from the traditional Hogwarts robes and the things that I think they're supposed to be using, and they try to play it down to the kids like us by putting them in jeans and fucking t-shirts and growing their hair out. I don't even know, but sometimes it feels like Harry Potter's got guy liner on in this movie. Like it feels like My Chemical Romance, the Harry Potter movie. And that's why it just feels so dated because of that.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. It definitely, the style that even though it's still
just the way they're dressed, because they do that. Now this film doesn't get to live on for whatever. It lives forever in this decade. The first two films, for the most part, it's in a completely different world and could happen at any time.
Yeah, the first two for sure. The third is when we start to see more jeans and whatever.
Yeah, just jeans start showing up at Hogwarts, and I don't know where all these jeans come from.
I remember really disliking that. Especially when you read the books, they're always talking about their robes and their, it just like, why are they...
But they're fucking kids, too. Maybe there was like this, no, we want to dress like this. We don't want to be in robes for all of these movies.
It totally makes sense. It's just not how I would have seen it, in my mind. Even the way that Harry is with Cho Chang, and the his shyness around her is
such a strange love story.
Yeah, it is.
That we get no closure on in this movie.
Not in this movie. Sadly, the man that she's actually into has to die in order for Harry to have a chance. Oh, I'm judging.
Oh, Harry. Oh, Harry, I cannot make out with you yet because Cedric is my boyfriend. She doesn't sound like that at all, but it's a little weird.
Is that your wand, or are you just happy to see me?
That's terrible.
Anyway, how many Hangar 24 Oktoberfest Fall Lagers would you give this movie out of a 6-pack?
I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of a 6. I really, really enjoy this film, but there are some of its cracks beginning to show its age upon this viewing.
Yeah.
And that's fine for me because I grew up at that time and it'll always remind me of those times. So I wonder if it's just as good for a newer viewer.
I'm going to agree with you. 5 out of 6. It's definitely a great movie. I love it. As far as a movie goes, is it a 6 out of 6 movie? Probably not. It's 5.
But at the time,
Pretty
it was
good.
the one that for sure told me I was going to be a Harry Potter fan.
I just wanted to say before we, conclude everything, we're not huge Potter nerds
We're filmmakers.
Yeah.
And we like to watch movies. So
Yeah.
this is how we approach this film. If we've totally missed the point because we didn't read enough of the books, please let us know.
Yeah.
We have no problem addressing things that we've done wrong.
Sure, yeah. So, but yeah, we just wanted to say that, we're just talking about this movie
For fun.
for fun.
And I hope you've had fun.
Yeah.
And we haven't just made you mad
Yeah.
that we forgot that scene in the book in chapter 46.
And you know what? This episode is all about, the holidays. It's a great holiday movie. It's time to bust these bad boys out. There's 8
That's
of them.
always what these movies remind me of, is the holiday.
They're totally holiday movies.
So that's my early 2000s for this week. Once again, I'm your host, Will.
And I'm your other host, Daniel. And if you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at SplashZoneMedia.
Or Instagram at SplashZoneMedia.
I think it's SplashZone_media on Instagram.
Just do the Splash Zone Media anywhere, and we're probably
there. That's it.
Hope you guys have fun this week.
Also, I'm going to follow William into his bedroom and give him an Imperious Curse.
Please don't.
Maybe a Cruciatus.
I'm going to Cruciatus this microphone up your ass.
Wow. Happy holidays. Vomited in my mouth a little bit.
Fuck, really?
No, I just burped and acid reflux came up.
You need a second?
No, I'm cool.